The California we know today is full of light, Hollywood's glamour, and the non-stop energy of Silicon Valley. But far from all the noise, there's a darker side. Towns that once thrived on gold, oil, or railroad routes now stand silent. These are 15 ghost towns in California, remnants of human ambition that raced after dreams, only to be swallowed by time. From Bodie, a town frozen in the 19th century, to the reason Panamint City is called California's purest ghost town, each of these places is more than just ruins. They're pieces of stories about greed, hope, and downfall. First up is Bodie, located in Mono County. This gold mining town rose in the late 1800s, with over 10,000 people living in the harsh Sierra Nevada desert. Interestingly, Bodie was once nicknamed a Sea of Sin because it was filled with gambling, prostitution, and violence. But when the gold ran out, people left just as quickly, leaving behind wooden houses, a school, and shops with goods still sitting on the shelves. One fascinating fact: Bodie is now known for its ghost curse, legend has it. Anyone who dares steal a rock, nail, or any item from the town will face bad luck. Anything from accidents and job loss to broken marriages. It's taken seriously. Every year, park rangers receive mailed packages from tourists returning stolen items along with apology letters. Officially named a Silver Rush ghost town in 2005, Calico took a slightly different path. The town was born in the Mojave Desert around 1881 after large amounts of silver were discovered. Imagine this: within a short time, Calico had more than 500 mines, producing around $20 million worth of silver, which was a massive sum for the 19th century. But the glory didn't last. When silver prices dropped in the 1890s, Calico started to empty out. The mines closed, homes were abandoned, and eventually the town fully became a ghost town. Today, Calico functions as a kind of living museum. You'll find mine tours, old trains, and even Wild West-style festivals. Silver City, located in Kern County, is more like an open-air museum than a traditional ghost town. Starting in the 1960s, old buildings at risk of being lost in various mining towns across Kern Valley were relocated to one spot and reassembled to create a replica 19th century mining town. The result? Today's Silver City features over 20 authentic buildings, from saloons and mining bunkhouses to wooden shops, all original structures that were rescued and brought here for preservation. A different story can be found in Cerro Gordo. This mining town sits on the slopes of the Inyo Mountains near Death Valley, and in the 1860s, it was known as the richest silver mine in Southern California. From here, silver and lead were shipped all the way to Los Angeles, and some records even say Cerro Gordo helped build LA with its mining money. At its peak, thousands of people lived here. But when the silver deposits ran low and metal prices dropped in the early 1900s, Cerro Gordo began to lose its population. What makes Cerro Gordo unique is that the town is still privately owned. In 2018, two young entrepreneurs, Brent Underwood and John Beer, bought Cerro Gordo with the vision of turning it into a kind of historical tourist destination, while preserving its authenticity as a ghost town. Next, there's Panamint City, located in the Panamint Mountains on the western side of Death Valley. Interestingly, Panamint had a reputation as a lawless wild town. Its population was a mix of miners, fugitives, and former outlaws. Some say the town was originally founded with the help of ex-train robbers trying to go legit by getting into mining. At its height, Panamint City had about 2,000 residents. In 1876, a major flash flood hit the town, destroying many buildings and cutting off transportation routes. Combined with falling silver prices, the town collapsed as quickly as it rose. Today, the road to Panamint City is closed to vehicles. To see the ruins, visitors have to hike 7 miles. That's why Panamint City is considered one of the most untouched ghost towns in California. Five miles to the north-northeast lies Ballarat in the Panamint Valley Desert. It was named after Ballarat in Australia. Both were gold mining towns. But like many mining towns, its success was short-lived. Once the gold started to run out in the early 1900s, people began to leave. By 1917, the post office had shut down, and the town had fully turned into a ghost town. What makes Ballarat interesting is that it hasn't completely faded from memory. In the mid-20th century, it became a sort of stopover for adventurers, hippies, and even controversial figures like Charles Manson and his followers, who once stayed here before their major criminal cases came to light. Atolia is a town in the middle of the Mojave Desert that wasn't born from gold or silver, but from tungsten, a rare mineral sought after in the early 20th century for the steel and ammunition industries. It was established around 1905, not far from Randsburg. The town's name is a combination of 2 mining company figures, Atkins and DeGolia. At its peak, Atolia had more than 1,000 residents, a post office, and even its own newspaper called the Atolia News. But the town's fate was tied to the fluctuating price of tungsten. When prices dropped, the mines shut down, and the town was slowly abandoned. Today, Atolia is just a shadow of the past. The remains of building foundations, ruins of ore processing plants, and decaying wooden houses stand as reminders of how fragile a town can be when built on a single commodity. Founded in the early 1870s, Darwin was discovered when lead, silver, and zinc were found in Inyo County, not far from Death Valley. What made Darwin different was its reputation. Historical records say killings happened almost weekly, and the law didn't have much power here. Darwin lived like the Wild West in its rawest form. Over time, its metal mines began to fade, and many residents moved away. But Darwin didn't completely die. Even today, a few hundred people still choose to live there, far from the crowds, surrounded by crumbling buildings and rusted mining equipment. The streets are quiet. Wooden houses sit abandoned, but there are still signs of life. Clothes hanging to dry, rows of RVs, and the occasional barking dog. Then there's Keeler, located in Colusa County, California. It emerged in the late 19th century as a small stop along the railway line. Keeler's story is simpler. It grew thanks to the Northern Railway line that passed through the fertile farmlands of the Sacramento Valley. But when the railway route was changed and transportation methods evolved, the town slowly lost its purpose. Today, Keeler has almost nothing left but faint traces. The ruins of buildings have long disappeared, and most of the land has turned into orchards and farmland. What makes Keeler interesting is exactly that, its status as a town completely swallowed by time. Randsburg emerged in the late 19th century, specifically in 1895, after gold was discovered in the Rand mining district of Kern County. The gold rush instantly attracted thousands of miners, merchants, and gamblers. But what makes Randsburg unique is that it never completely died. When the gold mines started to fade, most people did leave, but a small number of residents stayed. To this day, Randsburg is often called a living ghost town. If you visit on a regular weekday, the town feels quiet, with rows of old wooden buildings and dusty desert streets. But on weekends, the place can come alive again, especially with off-road enthusiasts and desert vehicle fans. Unlike the others, Drawbridge was slowly swallowed by marshland. Imagine this. In the early 1900s, Drawbridge was California's only true marsh town, surviving thanks to the Southern Pacific Railroad line that ran through it. Its residents, about 400 people, lived off hunting, fishing, and serving train travelers who stopped by. But when the San Francisco Bay wetlands started to dry up and the railroad route was changed, the town began to die off slowly. Interestingly, Drawbridge didn't just become silent, its houses literally tilted and sank into the soft, wet ground. By 1979, the town was officially abandoned. Today, Drawbridge is part of the Don Edwards San Francisco Bay National Wildlife Refuge and is closed to the public to protect bird habitats. Now we shift to Amboy, arguably the most iconic ghost town on Route 66. Picture the 1950s. Classic cars cruising down the legendary Route 66. Amboy wasn't a big town, but it served as a vital oasis in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Then came 1973, when Interstate 40 opened. The new highway bypassed the main route and practically shut down Amboy overnight. Businesses closed, residents left, and the once Grand Roy's Motel was reduced to a rusting neon sign, an iconic piece of Route 66 nostalgia. Interestingly, Amboy was later purchased by Albert Okura, a California entrepreneur, with the goal of reviving Roy's as a tourist attraction. Founded in 1896, Johannesburg, often called Joburg by locals, was born out of the gold rush in the Rand mining district. Its name was taken from Johannesburg, South Africa, because gold was discovered here not long after the gold rush in Witwatersrand. Back then, the town became a logistics hub, with the Randsburg Railway connecting it to the Southern Pacific Main Line. Today, Johannesburg is nearly empty, with only a few old buildings and run-down houses still standing along the roadside. But what makes it interesting is that it's not entirely dead. There are still a handful of residents, about 74 people, who continue to live there alongside its long history. Next is Volcano, established during the gold rush of the 1850s in Amador County. The name Volcano came from a misunderstanding. Early miners thought the bowl-shaped valley was an old volcanic crater. It wasn't, but the name stuck. At its peak, the town had more than 5,000 residents and became one of the wealthiest gold mining centers in California. Today, Volcano is more of a living ghost town. Some of its original buildings still stand, like the St. George Hotel and the Country Store, and the town has a small population of around 45 people who continue to preserve its historical legacy. And finally, North Bloomfield. This town was established in the early 1850s in Nevada County. What made North Bloomfield famous was its proximity to Malakoff Diggings, the largest hydraulic gold mining site in the United States. Imagine entire hillsides being blasted away with high-pressure water jets in the hunt for gold. As a result, the town grew rapidly, with a hotel, school, church, and even a newspaper office. At its peak, North Bloomfield had over 1,500 residents, but that success came at a high price. Mud and sediment from the mines flooded the Sacramento Valley, damaging farmland and causing a major environmental disaster. The case eventually led to the historic 1884 Sawyer decision, which banned hydraulic mining in California. After that, the town slowly died out. Today, North Bloomfield can still be visited as part of the Malakoff Diggins State Historic Park.